Welcome to Data with Desmos. I'm going to show you a few things with the graphing calculator, Desmos graphing calculator, using two variable and single variable stats, things that you can use with your Algebra 1 students or any student that's studying basic beginning statistics. Go to this, up some random questions. But the coolest thing ever about Desmos is I can pick any two columns out of this and paste it into Desmos, and it does the rest. So to show you what I mean, let's say I choose the height and the shoe size. Now you can do two that are side by side. That's easiest. But what you do is you just highlight those columns and you copy. So I do Control-C for my computer to copy. And then I go to the Desmos calculator and I paste Control-V. And it does the whole thing.
Yes.
So there it is. There's the data. And I have to remember which two I picked. So the one I picked was height versus shoe size. So the horizontal axis is going to be the height in inches of these students, and their shoe size is in Y. And what's awesome about it is it adjusts the window for you. So let me show you how to do a linear regression. Super, super easy. Instead of typing Y equals MX plus B, you type Y1, and it automatically makes that one a subscript. So you don't have to do any shifting or anything, just Y1. And then shift the little button, we call this the tilde. I don't know, what do you call it that?
Yeah. Yeah, I also call it that. Yeah.
Tilde. And then MX1 plus B.
Very nice.
And what it did is it graphed a line through my data. This is the least squares regression, linear regression. There's so many names, trend line, line of best fit. So we have loads of names in America for this line, but they're pretty much all the same. And then down below, it's going to list out some of the statistics about this line. So it'll tell you the slope and the y-intercept of this line. And you can't really see that on this graph because it's way over there, but whatever. I won't worry about that. And then, because the y-intercept is at -23, so it's way down. It gives you a correlation coefficient, which is 0.92, which is telling you this line is an excellent. It's pretty good. That's a good model for that. But you know, a lot of people don't know you can also do a quadratic. So I'm going to do Y1 tilde AX1 squared plus BX1 plus C, boom. And there's a quadratic. Not a good fit, but you can do one. And you know, sometimes your data is curved like that and you want to try a quadratic model to see how well it fits. And then you've got your exponential Y1 tilde AB to the X1. And there's your exponential. Mine's in blue, which actually looks a whole lot like a line. So the best fit to me is probably the linear, but you know, whatever. But that's how you do residual. I mean, that's how you do quadratics, exponentials. And let me get rid of those. There's a button here that says residuals plot. And if you will click that button, it will plot your residuals right there on the same graph. And I sometimes like to make my residuals a different color. So if you'll go up to this table, the residuals are going to be in the third. It's going to add a column to the table and put that in there. But if you click and hold that, you can make your residuals some other color. I do that so they don't get mixed up with the actual data. And so there you have your residuals. I don't see a curve in the residuals. Not really. So they're sort of random. I guess that model is pretty good. But we do a little bit of data analysis doing this. The thing I love about it is the time is, you just see I finished that in less than 5 minutes. So to give kids data in a spreadsheet, they can just boom, pop it in there. They're not having to type out these huge lists that take forever and click a bunch of buttons to get it. So I do love it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start with a blank graph and show you the single variable stats. So let me go over here. Well, let me just get rid of that. I'm going to type in a list. So a list, I use capital letters, but I just figured out recently, you don't really have to have capital letters. Use a square brace and then just start typing some numbers. So I'm just going to type. Let's do one that's way out here. How about 18? That's probably good. All right, so there's my list. To do statistics, the first thing I usually would do with my students is one variable stats. So I would do like the 5-number summary. You type STATS, open parentheses, and put that letter in, and it'll give you the 5-number summary, the minimum, the Q1, the median, the Q3, the max, which is kind of nice. You can do the mean of the list, same way. You can do the standard deviation, and I forgot how to do this. I think it STDEV. Yeah, that's it. STDEV. And by the way, all these are on the keyboard, but I'm too lazy to go get them. So I just keep typing until I figure it out. My kids are the same way. We kind of prefer typing. Standard deviation is 4.3. And let's see, what else could I do? Oh, we could graph it. Let's do box plot. All right, now I can't see it because of that screen being messed up. Let's see if I can get it here.
Can you
there
auto zoom or anything like that in Desmos, like to fit or you just have to zoom out and then just.
Oh no, you can go over here and set your window to be what you want. So, and this is probably a better way to do it, to be honest. And I have my kids be real picky about this stuff, but they don't generally, no matter how much I tell them to do it, they're going to zoom in and out. That's their way, you know. But I'm going to make the height of this box 2, and I'm going to do an offset of 2, and that lifts it up a little bit above the line. And there we have it. You zoom out, you can see that outlier. You can get rid of that, and it'll just make that whisker long. So I think what I'll do
like
now.
an open circle.
Are you seeing what I'm doing here?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm just comparing to like what GeoGebra does, because GeoGebra indicates outliers as like crosses or something like that. So
yeah.
Curious to see what Desmos uses.
Yeah, it uses a little dot there to show the outlier, and you can include it or not, however. I'm going to make this offset really big. And then I'm going to include let's do a histogram. So I'm going to do histogram A, and there's my histogram. And you can have it be left, and the bin width of 1. I don't know. Let's make a bin width of 2. The reason I love Desmos is I don't have to know anything. I just click, I just type it, and it makes it for me. And you know what? When you're teaching kids and they've never done any of this, it's just one less thing for me to worry about. So I kind of like it. But, and here I've got the box plot on top of the histogram, so they can kind of see how the two representations compare. But I don't think I can put all 3. So let me do a dot plot underneath here. There's the dot plot.
Oh, so cute.
So it's just fun. You know, we just show all these different representations. And what's cool is you can put 2 data sets. Like I could have list A, list B, and you could compare the 2, like put them right on top of each other. And I have the kids create their own. So they'll come up with their own list. And I say, I want you to give me a data set that's skewed right. I want you to give me one with 2 outliers. I want to get, you know, and they keep playing with it until they get it to do what I'm asking. And they learn so much just by playing. So, but that is about it.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I had never done a histogram or a box plot or a dot plot in Desmos. I always did those things in GeoGebra. I never did them in here. So
yep, it's kind of nice. And what the kids will do is, like, once they finish with this, they'll screen capture this over here. So they'll take that whole thing, they'll drop it on a Jamboard. They'll come up here and share their graph out. I may be picky about their graph. I go, oh, I want it to be, you know, I want it to be purple, and make your dot plot blue, and let's make it colorful. Let's put it in our Jamboard. And so they can create whatever, and they can put it in there. And then they can talk
Can
about
you
their 2 data
label?
sets. So I give them they create their set so that they can talk about it. Anyway, it's kind of fun.
Can you label the stuff on the box plot itself? Like
Let's
insert
see.
text
I don't
to
know. You
like
know what? I
label
don't know
things?
if I ever do it. I always take it out and we do it somewhere else.
And
So it's a good question.
because I know that if the kids they
Oh.
extract it just Jamboard, they could just annotate it on there. But I was just curious if within
Well, you can always add a note, or I can put a label. Like I could just pick this point right here. This is kind of a workaround. Let's say this is 410. I'm going to label that point. Okay. Well, I don't want that label. I want to label my box plot and say this is shoe size versus what was that? What was this?
okay.
Versus height. So I can kind of cheat by putting a point out there. And then if you really want to be picky about it, you can go over here and change the width of the point to something so tiny that it's just a tiny dot on the graph or whatever. Oh, now you can't read it.
Okay.
That's the wrong thing.
Yeah, because I tried to label a few times. Like, how do I label? I mean, it's like impossible inside here. But then, okay, that's an interesting way to do it. Sure.
Yeah, I don't think I did right though, because I just didn't do too good there. Let me get out. Yeah, it's now you can't read my word because I made it so tiny. Anyway, that's a workaround, and my kids know it too. They'll just put a point where they want to say something, and then they'll label the point with some words so they can write the note there. But honestly, the easiest thing to do is just export it to some other application. Then you have all those wonderful tools, and they can put art on there, and they can color it, and so they have way more fun putting it in Jamboard or in slides or something like that.